Ed said any way to make King Trump our official
people are coming up!
He gets COVID and it bounces right off of him.
In its waning weeks, now less than a
Shut
month
the fuck up, you
before
freak.
Election Day here in the United States. This has been a remarkable scene, and here I think there's Donald Trump.
Why are they shooting this with a fucking toaster?
Mr. President, how many staff are sick? How many of your staff are sick?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you think you might be a super spreader, Mr. President?
President taking no questions, but certainly a demonstration, a sign of strength, walking by himself, gently tapping the railings as he came down, but walking virtually unassisted as he now goes into that armored SUV. Much like the one that took him on the tour yesterday of the neighborhood to greet well-wishers. It'll be a short ride just to the other side of the hospital where Marine One is ready and waiting for him on a helipad. And then if it is anything like a few days ago, it'll be about a 10-minute ride.
Mr. President, why are you a super spreader is fucking awesome.
As we have noted, a number of staffers, people connected to his campaign and the Republican Party have tested positive for coronavirus. So he will be certainly confronting that. Doctors not exactly
very suspicious that this angle did not show his
how he will be isolated, what the circumstances.
So we still don't know
of how he will be
if it's actually Trump or not, because we didn't see his doo-doo ass.
Of course, his wife Melania Trump also tested positive for COVID-19. At the last report we
didn't see his dumpy.
Symptoms were considered mild. She did not make the trip to the hospital.
They're on to us, boys.
On Friday, and as far as we know, she is doing relatively okay. And you can see that motorcade beginning to move just a short distance. There have been a lot of people who have been camped out of the hospital, many supporters, some protesters who have been, creating certainly a lot of attention there over the 3 days the president has been at Walter Reed. They, as we reported a bit earlier, had been moved to the other side of the street, a little bit farther from the helipad. But they will be certainly in a position to watch it leave. They were certainly able to see it make its approach and land within the last half hour. This is obviously a very long shot camera here, so pretty fuzzy picture, but the presidential SUV making its way to the helipad. I believe,
dude, motherfucker's losing weight,
still
dude.
With us. Peter, the president, I think all I heard him say was thank you very much. Did you hear anything else?
No, that's all that I heard, and it wasn't clear whether the president would have any remarks. Really, it was that photo that he wanted. He wanted to demonstrate as he has over the course of the last several days, that he is in form, able to work, and continues with his routine. But what's noticeable is how little we really know about his condition at this time. His doctor refusing to provide any details about those lung scans, which is significant because it would potentially be revelatory about whether he has any COVID-related effects, possibly pneumonia. Even as he heads back to the White House, the president is taking a series of experimental antibody cocktail. He's taking an antiviral drug, remdesivir, also taking dexamethasone. That is a steroid, Lester, as we've been reporting. That is,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed that he didn't fall.
Ill coronavirus patients. So even as the White House says,
kind of bummed out by that.
Sort of
I'll be honest.
Symptoms, a mild.
It would have been funny.
The way they tried to describe it, he is being prescribed drugs that would be used for a much sicker patient right now. To give you a sense of the scene right here, you can see some of those folks behind me. This, Lester, has been a wild scene over the course of today and, frankly, over the course of the last several days. There have been what started with dozens turning into hundreds of Trump supporters arriving here from all around this region for an opportunity to try to cheer on the man that they love, the man that they say deserves 4 more years in office. And then protesters arrived, police arrived as well. It's just really been part of what in many ways has become the reality TV presidency over the course of the last several years in the eyes of many.
Peter, we just want to know, we
Again,
just saw the
Please.
president climb his way up the stairs. Yeah, he just climbed up the stairs and is aboard the chopper now. One thing I noted, Peter, there appear to be no medical staff in sight as the president left. Appeared to be simply aides and Secret Service. The president in his usual business attire and flashing a thumbs up and a fist as he got into the vehicle. But we didn't see anyone certainly in lab coats or in medical garb.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't see any of those doctors as well, but recognize, even as his own doctor said, when he returns to the White House, he will have some of the best medical care on the planet, elite doctors surrounding him, an array of drugs and other treatments available to him right now. So even as the president earlier today said, don't be afraid of COVID, his experience is very different than that of many average Americans. So many families across this country, that of more than 210,000 Americans who have lost loved ones, will hear those words and feel like the president does not understand their pain or their experience. But all of this is clearly by design for a president who believes that the more he's talking about coronavirus,
Shit's looking like a Zoom call, dude.
The worse it is for his re-election hopes. His desire is to focus on the future, looking past this virus, even as many people, including his own public health experts, say we still have many difficult months ahead.
As we see the presidential motor pool clearing the helipad, the chopper about to leave, let me bring in Tom Costello. And Tom, you can pick up a little bit of what Peter was talking about, that the curious thing in all this is that I guess we don't have Tom. I'm sorry. I apologize. But of course, what I was going to point out, one of the curious things is the medical regimen, the treatments he's received, some experimental, some considered very aggressive for more serious cases of COVID, and that has left a big question mark over all this. And certainly his treating physician not wanting to go into specifics about what the lung scans look like, or some of the other key telltale things that doctors would look at to evaluate.
How did they just fix it after he got on the
condition?
Wait.
We know from
did that just did it just get fixed as soon as he got on the fucking helicopter? What?
Violently in the other direction with little warning. And again, doctors say they have what they need in the medical facilities of the White House. Dr. John is with us. Dr. John, I'm playing a doctor right there. So to pick up on what I was saying about this idea that the question marks here that make us wonder if the man who just climbed in that chopper is as well as he appeared.
And you know, Lester, a couple days ago I mentioned the word red flag, and by red flag I meant that he was getting medications that they usually reserve for patients who are severely ill. So of the medications he's getting, one of them is remdesivir. That's the one that Peter was talking about. It's an antiviral, so they give it to patients early on. So that makes sense to give patients who are mild or moderately sick at that point, because you're trying to fight it off. You're trying to actually actively fight the virus with that medication. The other one are the antibodies they were giving them, the Regeneron antibody cocktail, the monoclonal antibody cocktails they gave them, because that also gives your immune system a boost. So it's trying to actively fight off the virus at that point. But the third one they gave them, and this is the one that raised some red flags, is the dexamethasone. That's a steroid. And per NIH protocol, that should only be given to patients who are on ventilators or who are on supplemental oxygen in the hospital. And they specifically say it is not recommended for patients that are not on a ventilator, not on supplemental oxygen. But other experts are saying, you know, at some point, sometimes, even if they're not at that stage, but they're severely ill, then we'll give them that dexamethasone anyway. But it's definitely reserved for severely ill, not mild or moderate. So I think what we're seeing here is the medication they're giving them is reserved for patients who are sicker than they're telling us he is. And it's important with the steroid, because if the steroid is given early on when they're not that sick, it actually can make the patient worse. And so they're going to be very careful with that. So I think, again, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, isn't necessarily what's going on behind the scenes, Lester.
All right, Dr. John Torres, as we watch the Chopper Marine 1 make its way toward Washington, let me bring in Hallie Jackson right now. Hallie, as I noted a few minutes ago, he's returning to the White House, but it is not the same place that he left, as more COVID cases linked to the White House and Republican Party are popping up. What do we know about the number of cases right now?
Well, we know, Lester, the number is 14. That is the cases linked to the White House or to the campaign. That includes the president and the first lady. And it includes the White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, who today said that she tested positive for the coronavirus. We've learned today, too, that 2 of her deputies have also tested positive. The White House so far has not said how many West Wing staffers have actually tested positive so far. But I have to tell you, Lester, the White House feels different in more ways than one.
Silly libtards, you don't know. If we reveal how many people have COVID in the White House, then COVID wins. We're keeping it a secret because we want COVID to lose. Believe me.
From some of their colleagues, some have come in. I spoke with one White House official here today. He was wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask outside more than 6 feet. But the question was, why did you still show up to work knowing that this is happening here? The argument from the White House is that they are essential workers, basically. They've been deemed essential to the functioning of government, basically. And there is some work that they feel they have to come into the office to be able to do. So we see the helicopter, Lester, on its way here to where I am on the White House. It'll land on the other side of the building from where I'm standing on the south lawn. And then the president will head inside. I am told by a source familiar with the plans, and I emphasize the plans, that the president is expected to isolate in the residence. So that's not the West Wing. Now, that could change. Let's say in a few days, if the president is still feeling good, decides he wants to go to the Oval Office, perhaps that could change. But at this moment, that is the expectation, that the president will be in the residence. As we've been talking about, and as Dr. John referenced a moment ago, the president coming home to the White House is not like me going home to my house in Washington.
I'm going to be very frank with you guys. This COVID shit has literally been exactly like what I assume Americans feel like on Christmas morning every morning. You wake up, you have the expectation that there's some gifts under the tree. For me, that gift is the COVID updates. I'm like giddy like a child. Every morning I wake up, I frantically search through my timeline, seeing what's happening. And thus far, it's kind of been like being a Muslim on Christmas morning instead. Waking up with the assumption that Santa's maybe brought you some Christmas gifts, and then remembering that your Muslim family is not celebrating Christmas. That's what it's been like. So listen, if you're a conservative in here, and you're watching me because you want to clip out my reactions, you know, you're going to own the libs. Even though I'm not a lib, I am a lefty, but you want to own the lefty by saying, look at how sad they are that Donald Trump's doing well. This is your moment. Donald Trump has consistently defied expectations. And I will admit, I'll always be honest with you. He has consistently defied the expectations that he's going to do poorly. So much so that I think maybe at some point that misinformation coming in from Mark Meadows that goes against what their doctors are saying could be even deliberate to get everybody excited to see if he's going to do well or not. Only to have him do well. Yeah, I feel like I got a sock full of coal for Christmas. Okay, that's what I feel like.
We just got a glimpse of what it's like for a president to move.
My man didn't even fall. He didn't even stumble going down the stairs. It would have been pretty poggers to see that at least.
People involved.
Give me something, Trump.
Here.
I didn't even see his fat dumpy.
Ability be like to interact with others around him.
Yeah, Lester, these are exactly the questions